Welcome back to the Lions Den podcast. I'm your co-host, Nolan, here with my co-host, Aidan. Aidan, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. On today's show, we're interviewing Hannah Little. She is a former Senator Dufferin District High School student and now former Guelph Griffin. She wrestled at the University of Guelph, and we're going to put it to that interview now. Hannah, how are you today?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. We have a few questions here lined up for you. The first of which is kind of balancing school and being a student athlete. Did you find that balance hard, or was it something that you were easily managed?
I think, to be honest, I didn't really know anything else. So, I mean, at the time, yeah, there was some challenges, but overall, I don't know, it was probably just what I'm used to. So I didn't think it was excruciatingly painful or anything like that. Obviously, you have to miss some classes and stuff for tournaments. Like we left on a lot of Fridays to go to tournaments, so I'd miss classes then. And you just kind of need to be on top of things. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. That's all I got.
What was one thing, your biggest thing that you did to make your university experience better?
Is that like pertaining to my varsity career or just in general, like university?
Keep it in general.
Yeah, general.
In general, okay. That's a good question. I would say honestly, just be open to like doing a bunch of things that you wouldn't think you would do. Like when I was in first year and second year, I was kind of just sticking with my wrestling and I didn't really go off and do other things like other clubs or anything like that. But then like once I got in my upper years, I kind of branched out a bit and I did like food bank volunteering and just different stuff like that. And it definitely makes your time seem more like fulfilled and I guess more enjoyable in general. You know what I mean?
Now, if you were to look more at your athletic side of your life, what's kind of one piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring student athlete, someone that's looking to maybe play varsity when they go away to school?
Okay. I would say, sorry, it was just like advice I would give them on like how to make the most of their varsity career.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see here. Honestly, I would say I feel like I maybe shied away in my later years for, I don't know, I guess multiple reasons. So I would just like fully commit, especially with wrestling. It's like a very hard sport, it's like a very intense lifestyle. It's like a the season goes all year. And I would just say, commit yourself to that sport if you're really wanting to go far and succeed in it. And obviously school is always first because you pay to go there, lots of money usually. So school is always first, but make make whatever sport you want to do and succeed in your number two. Like don't be going off and missing practice because you didn't feel like going or something like that. Like if you're that kind of person, just don't do it, you just got to make that your number two. And I think that's how, if you want to succeed, that's how you'll do it.
So what program did you take at Guelph?
I was in the arts and science program. So it's kind of a weird program. You don't go to one stream or the other. You just do both and you do a minor in each one. So I went for ecology and philosophy. So those were my two minors. And it was an arts and science degree.
Now, what are you kind of thinking that you want to do with that in terms of a career post-school?
So I'm actually starting my master's in September. It's a master's of climate change at U Waterloo. So I'm hoping to get into the environmental field doing something, to do with climate change, whether it's policy making, government, or working with some sort of NGO to do something to do with climate change.
Now, take it back a couple of years to whenever you were choosing schools, what made you decide on Guelph?
to be quite honest, I chose Guelph solely for the wrestling. I was hemming and hawing about going to university at all. Like I wanted to go eventually, but I thought maybe I just want to like, I don't know, do something fun, go traveling after high school. But since I was so heavy into the wrestling, I was like, no, I shouldn't do that. Like I really want to compete varsity. And if I'm like at a school, then I can compete for the school, go through the varsity cycle and all that stuff. And in high school, I was actually training with Guelph quite a bit because there wasn't that many clubs around Shelburne that have like decent wrestling team. So I was actually driving to Guelph every single night in my grade 12 year to train. So it was a big commitment. And at that time, the coach was like interested in me coming to the school there. And I just decided, yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. I'll go to Guelph. I didn't even like do a tour of the school or anything, to be honest, other than the gym that I was always at. And I just chose the most general program I could find. And yeah, I just basically committed myself to wrestling at Guelph, and it worked out really well. Like I'm glad I did the program I did, and I'm glad I went to Guelph. So I'm happy for that. And I mean, now I wouldn't have had it any other way. I did consider, since I was so into wrestling, or I still am, but you know, at the time I was like really wanting to compete. And Brock has like the #1 team in Canada. And I was like, maybe I should just go to Brock, but I was already training with Guelph. So yeah, Guelph was like probably the #2 school for wrestling at the time too. So yeah, that definitely was basically my deciding factor.
Did you look at any other programs, or did you kind of have your heart set on just the one?
For Guelph, I just applied to the one program. Trying to think, I applied to like a few different schools. I can't even remember what the programs were, to be honest. Like I couldn't decide between science and arts because I kind of liked them both. I was like pretty decent at them both, I guess. So I just was wanting like a program that was very general to begin with. So yeah, I just chose arts and science, which is literally the most general thing you can get. And then as I kind of took some courses, I figured out I was really into the philosophy side of things. And also I've always been kind of really interested and passionate about nature, the environment, environmentalism in general. So ecology was kind of like a natural choice for me there as well. I actually started out just in biology, and I specialized down to ecology in my, I think, second year. So yeah, I feel like these aren't that good of reasons to choose programs. It's just the reality of what happened.
Well, steering back kind of towards your wrestling, with it being such a huge part of your life now, what made you get into wrestling? How did you get your start in it?
So it's actually kind of a super random story. I used to be a competitive dancer, and I was like right into competitive dance, training all the time and stuff. And then when I was in grade 5, my dad saw a newspaper article in the Orangeville Banner saying wrestling team starting or whatever. And I remember he said, because me and my brother used to always like wrestle around and fight each other and stuff when we were younger. And he said, if you guys want to wrestle, go join the wrestling team. And so my brother joined the first year and I didn't join because I was still like right into the competitive dance stuff. And then I would always go to his like practices and tournaments and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, I think I'm just going to quit dance and do wrestling instead. So then I did. And yeah, so I've been wrestling since 5th grade. So I don't know how old you are there, like maybe, I don't know, are you 10 or something? Maybe 9, I don't know. So yeah, I saw an ad in the newspaper and it changed my life forever.
Do you have one piece of advice that you would give your younger grade 9 self?
As it pertains to wrestling, I would say people who don't wrestle probably won't get the extent of this, but first of all, don't cut weight as much as I did, which is just like wrestling, you have weight classes, and you have to whatever. Sometimes you want to be in a lower weight class because you think you have a better chance at winning and this sort of thing. So that's one thing I would say. Don't cut weight because it's a waste of time. It's not good for you. Second thing I would say, same with like the wrestling, just focusing on wrestling. Don't let I guess, or just don't let negative influences on your sports career, meaning like teammates and this sort of thing, shape your experience. So like just try to honestly have a good time and don't take everything so seriously and just like do your thing and don't let things bother you, because I think that's kind of like having a good time is probably the one thing that will prolong your career in a sport. Other than I guess injury is the other main thing. But yeah, I just feel like if you don't take it so seriously, like still obviously wanting to win and committing time, but like just try to have a good time is what I would say as well.
Now, I don't know about professional wrestling. I'm not very educated in that, but are the Olympics or the Pan Am Games something that it's a goal of yours or something you feel that's still possible?
If you asked me that even a year ago, I would probably say a different answer. Obviously the Olympics is like the dream. Everyone wants to go to the Olympics. When I was a kid, I would tell everyone I was going to the Olympics and stuff. As I get older, you know, I'm a little bit more, maybe I'm even taking a step back now from wrestling. And, you know, I think something like coaching would be more something I'd be interested in. You never know though. I think first off, I need to decide if I'm going to compete next year and go to the Olympics. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to count anything out. I still like, I'm hemming and hawing about how committed I want to be in the future. Like obviously this COVID thing, nobody's been training for like a year. So it's going to be weird when things start back up, like how different I'll feel about, you know, committing every day to something, you know what I mean?
Aidan, you have anything else for Hannah here?
No, not that I can think of right now. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
And
guys.
good
for
luck to
having
you in
me.
wrestling or whatever.
Now, before you hop off, we always try to end each interview with just a simple top three.
Top
For
three.
you,
Okay.
what are your top three movies of all time?
Top three movies. Oh wow. That's a good question. I'm gonna say probably the number one, honestly, is all the Lord of the Rings series. So I don't know if you want to count those as all three or just one. But I would also probably throw out there, you know, that movie, The Outsiders, that sometimes you read the books in grade 7 and 8.
Yep.
That's probably my number two. I love that movie. And completely different topic, but Mamma Mia is my number three.
Perfect. Well, if you haven't seen those, you should go watch them. Hannah, thanks for joining us for a quick interview and all the best in your future.
Thanks, guys. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Huge thank you to Hannah. Best of luck to you in your wrestling and your future career, whatever you end up doing. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you guys next week.